Yo, yo, yo. Let me know if it's on. Today, we called a late minute audible with Will unable to join us tonight for the live stream, but doesn't mean I can't do a solo stream, at least for a little bit. At least give the people what they want. So I'm gonna need the chat to come in big here today because I'm not as talented as Will when it comes to talking to himself. And that's just how it is. I don't even know why I have this headset on. I don't even have anyone to talk to. But what's been good? What's been good in the Dynasty streets? I mean, we got a lot of stuff going on. Not really football related. I mean, I know Giannis finally got traded for a bunch of pennies on the dollar, which is kind of a interesting. I mean, I think when I think about Dynasty and Dynasty strategy, I think a big part of roster construction is similar to NBA in the sense of NBA is very star centric, and you want to get that the centerpiece of your roster and build around it. Whereas NFL teams are a little bit more hesitant to give up that first round pick because you have 22 people on the field. There's a lot going on. I think Dynasty, frankly, is more like the actual NBA when it comes to roster construction and things like that. I don't know if I don't think it is. I need to figure out my chat agent as well. I see shouts to my wife, Rebecca, in the chat, but I'm not seeing it pull up on the social stream. This is going to be a little bit of a ratchet stream. We got some tin cans. We got the string with the tin can connecting between both, making this work today. But we'll see how it goes. I haven't used my own streaming setup in a while. Usually I just hop in a Discord call. So shouts to Will, setting up a lot of the actual stuff going on behind the scenes here. Give me 1 second to blast off on the site, and let's see. It should be good. There we go. Let's see. I know I have a few live stream to ask. I know Big Diaz rise to the occasion. I know. I need to figure out the chat thing, man. I mean, that's the big thing. That's not being able to pull up chat messages. I thought I had a message for that, but I guess I don't currently. So this is my legacy moment. I know. This is my Michael Jordan flu game. Off the back of COVID, I felt bad missing it last week. I was like, oh man, I was itching to be able to just talk some Dynasty, and then I got super sick. I mean, I tell you, I've had COVID 3 times, and I've never that third time got me down bad. So it was rough. And if we get enough people, I will pull up. We could do maybe a mock draft or something like that. That could be a lot of fun. I have no idea how does Will do it, man? How does Will pull up the chat messages? We might just have to say, F it, we'll do it live. It's not going to happen. Pull it up side by side. I don't know how we'll get it to work. See, pop out. We'll do a pop out chat. That's what we'll do. Pop out chat. See, look at that. This is some production value here. Killing it. We're looking good. Let's see. Well, while we're waiting for people to trickle in, we can hit the Garbo live stream ask. I'll pull that up in a second, and we'll start off with that. And I can talk about some new features. Now that I control the stream, we're gonna know where all the new goodies are on the site. I think that's also a fun aspect of this. Okay, cool. So let's see. Garbo said, in the midst of a rebuild, was offered neighbors for any 2 of Tate, McConkey, and Burden. So this is interesting. You got to rebuild. Do you kind of want to consolidate to a neighbors pick? Would love to hear your thoughts on this. I will say I have some interesting thoughts on neighbors as well. Just because I always love buying an injured player as a rebuilder, right? I don't need points now. Whatever fits my narrative, whatever fits my window is ultimately what I'm going for as a rebuilder. And a lot of times these injured players are perfect, right? When you have Joe Burrow get injured, let me get a 40% discount because he's not scoring and the team needs him to score. I need him to score, or I don't need him to score, so he can just kind of ride on my roster and hang out. Neighbors kind of has that type of impact right now. People kind of treat Neighbors like he is on IR for the whole year, and the value dip on Neighbors is a little bit interesting, and I think something that I've been pondering. I'm like, should I send out those Neighbors deals now and then like retweet the Neighbors limping in that baseball game just so people are like, uh-oh, like Neighbors isn't looking too hot. Let's take a look at this. Obviously, this team is a rebuilder, trust the process, big time rebuilder. And I mean, honestly, as a trust the process goes, this has to be one of the better ones I've ever seen. I mean, how many trust the processes have Jahmyr Gibbs and 3 young, somewhat interesting, I mean, borderline 4, if we're talking KC, but 3 borderline interesting, somewhat upside wide receivers. I mean, obviously this team very invested in the 2026 draft class. And I mean, we see they have 4 first-round picks in 2027 as well. So it's not like, they're desperate for these young players. They're going to be growing on trees. So the question is, what is 2? I think it was 2 of the 3. Any 2 of Tate, McConkey, and Burden. I mean, I think that the boring answer would be like, I think I would take it because without knowing the format, right? And it's a 12-team start 11, so we're looking. Format does matter a little bit, right? Like in terms of depth, we do want to have enough players. Let me make sure I'm keeping the chat involved. Do a roster reveal for Will's home league. I don't know. I don't know if I have Will's home league, but we could snoop around Will's account. We give him a little bit of a roast. Yeah, no, I'm trying to keep you involved. My stream chat is not working, and I didn't have time to set it up. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel fine doing that in this type of league, even though it's a deeper league, and like ultimately you want to try to get a ton of value. If I'm able to take Ladd and like Luther Burden and get Neighbors and potentially pair Neighbors with Gibbs, add in 2027 first. And I don't know if all of them are early. I mean, this one probably, I mean, it kind of comes down to how is Christian McCaffrey, but this team is probably a mid pick. Where's Liam? Liam is probably pretty good. And then Greeny, the best team in the league, but still like 2 late first, mid first, early first. Like I'm okay taking the risk on Neighbors, and like let's take a look at that Neighbors team too. I mean, this Neighbor team 6 overall, and I can show off. I'll talk about it a little bit later, just to keep everything. Shouts Jakes, welcome to the this is the dollar stream behind the gas station, behind the 7-Eleven. We're making it work. We don't have the stream master Will with us today. But I did add, and I'll break it down in a little bit, the whole breakdown. But the you can now change the starter value. So if you want to use ADP, current season rankings, for this year, if you want to use fantasy football or like fantasy point projections, you can toggle that. That will update all the tiers and the current season outlook for that. And then we also have WAR. If you want to use not just current season rankings, but if you want to rank it based on the impact based on WAR, we also have that. So you can toggle between all of them, see which teams are contenders in different rankings, and adds a lot. I know Buki14 in the Discord mentioned it, and I'll break down the power rank or the playoff calculator, but there's a lot of work that went into that, and that's kind of where this toggle really comes into effect, as you can kind of see all of that. I mean, looking at this team, right, you're kind of in the middle, and they're probably scared, and they're sitting here saying Marv, Waddle. But the reality is, I don't feel like this is the move I would try to make if I was this team. Like, I would sit here and say, hey, Malik Neighbors, can I go buy? I'd be more like attacking. Like, if I was trying to trade with Garbo here, I'm trying to go after Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm saying, hey, man, you're a rebuild. You don't really need that elite production. Like, give me, like, Neighbors and a 27 first. Give me Gibbs. And, like, Gibbs, then all of a sudden, this running back room becomes more in play. You have Neighbors, Waddle. Like, this team all of a sudden becomes more of a actual threat. And I think the tight end premium as well. I mean, it's 0.5, so it's not super impactful. But if I'm trying to trade Neighbors, I'm not trying to just get like a bunch of like. Frankly, I'm going to say this respectfully because I know we all have these bags. We all have guys in here that we love. But these are kind of overvalued guys. Luther Burden, Lamb McConkey, Tate. Shout out Sean, welcome to the stream. All these guys are somewhat overvalued. I'm not saying they're bad by any means, but these are guys that half of their value is not their production they're actually put on the field, but the upside of, what if they hit? What if they're the next guy? And like, that's the same with like KC. Like, what's the difference between KC and Jaden Reed? It's like, well, we've seen Jaden Reed and we kind of know what he is. But if KC Concepcion goes out and performs like Jaden Reed year one, there's a way to spin that. There's some narrative. There's some hype of like, can he build on that? And that's all fair. But I'm saying, if I can take two of those guys and staple them together and get Neighbors, I'm certainly going to do that. And frankly, like, not a lot has to go super right for this team to not be the worst team in the league. I don't necessarily know if I agree. Let me toggle projections. I mean, y'all are solidly in the bottom of the league. So it's interesting. It's interesting, I will certainly say. You don't see many teams that are trust the process with Jahmyr Gibbs. But yeah, I mean, if I can ideally, I would just give Ladd and Burden. I would like to see the Tate upside. What if Tennessee figures it out? But at the end of the day, it comes down to like whoever they want. Like, give me the Neighbors piece. I can do more with Neighbors. He's like 22, elite wide receiver. I'd rather invest in that and have that Neighbors, Gibbs be the centerpieces of my team going forward. Let's see what else we got here. I'll switch over to this is kind of chat back in the old days, right? We have the chat pop out. Shouts Justin, welcome to the stream. Yo, in my super flex tight end premium, start 10. Should I trade T? I have Chase and Neighbors, so I've been kind of leaning hold. My other wide receivers are Watson, Sutton, and Stribling. Honestly, first off, shouts Justin. I will give Justin a special shout out. He's always out there on the X, on the former Twitter platform, giving me retweets, giving me some love. And that goes a long way. I'll be honest. There's sometimes I'll post my trade stuff. Like, I post a daily trade on my social medias, and those usually get some sort of responses and stuff, which feels good. I can't lie. But whenever I post like a feature or like, hey, check out our live stream, those are hit or miss. Sometimes they just go and they get like no likes. So I always appreciate, heart to Justin Tech. That honestly goes a long way. I always see your retweet. That means a lot. Looking at this wide receiver room, the first thing I would say without seeing the actual full roster, and I'm kind of running the show here. So if you want to send your roster, I can always look at that. Should you trade T with Chase, Neighbors? I agree with your initial take here. It is a shallow league, so I'd be open to tiering up. I think in a start 10 league, unless if you're talking 14 teams or something, I'm going to lean more of like, let me just have, like, can I tier up in any meaningful way? Because what's the difference between a Watson, a Sutton, and a T? Probably not a lot. Probably it's just like the vibes of T. Higgins looks better. He's tied to Joe Burrow. But you already got the upside of Joe Burrow with the Chase Neighbors. This is a pretty solid wide receiver room. The only thing for me would be like, can I put a second? Can I put maybe a late first on top of T and get into that next tier of guys? So maybe we can take a look at that. Let me jump over to the one, the only DynastyDaddy.com. We'll look at where the wide receiver rankings are at. Dang, T has fallen. T's wide receiver 28 right now. Would I put a second to get up to Mekhi Lemon? No. I think the line for me would be maybe A.J. Brown. Like, if I'm a contender and I'm sitting there, I'm like, I think the upside of A.J. Brown's probably more enticing. than a T. Higgins, even though like T. Higgins scored 9 less points, I guess. But the excitement of the Patriots offense, what they could do, AJ Brown being a true wide receiver 1 potential, I'd live with that. But I don't know. I mean, a lot of these guys in this range are kind of in the same. I think probably Olave is where I would really draw the line. It's like, can I tier up to Olave or better? Olave, Garrett Wilson, Nico Collins. Is anyone in this range available? And that would be the tier up I'm looking for. But am I looking to tier down? No. Especially when you got Sutton, you got a lot of guys that can fill those bye weeks, fill those week roles. So if T or Neighbors, let's be honest, is injured, you have a little bit of flexibility there when it comes to that. Let me see what we got going on. Yeah, if you just know what your sleeper username is and league name, I can definitely look it up. It is a 12 team start 10, so it is a little bit deeper. I mean, the boring advice is like it is June 23rd. Like that's unfortunately the boring advice is like we don't need to reinvent the wheel right now. Most leagues are not won between June and July. Like that's just not how it is. Unless if you're maybe drafting your league. If you're completely doing a brand new draft, maybe you're winning your league with your draft. But most of the time you're not winning your league. It's just like don't be dumb and like stick your foot in your mouth. Let's see. J Tech FF Supporters League. Shouts Justin. I'll pull that up. J Tech. Dang, you got one league here. Make it easy for me. Okay, we got a contender. I should have guessed with Gibbs and Neighbors, and you're like, I don't know what to do with T. Yeah, I mean, I think the additional context here, we can look at 12 team start 10, full PPR, 0.5 tight end premium. Nothing else really jumping out here. Right? I mean, obviously, you've already had your draft. You have a kind of, I don't want to call Adam Randall nobody, but you got kind of a bunch of nobodies. Not like you're sitting on like a Jordan Tyson or someone crazy. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing for me would be how are you feeling about Tootin? And if you do want to move potentially off of T, it'd be can I move T for a running back or a wide receiver tier up? But since you don't have any 27 first, I'm even less inclined to do that tier up. If anything, I'd be trying to say, hey, can I get like really gross with it and like do a Sam Darnold tier down? And maybe we can look at some of these oh my gosh. Only Taj Brooks. What? Like, welcome. This is a Jeremiah Smith music right there. Yeah, I mean, it looks like a lot of these bad teams are pretty stripped for assets. This is an interesting one. But I don't know if you have the price tag, right? Like, to me, if you're going to get JT, this is probably a Neighbors tier down, to be honest. It'd be like, can I get Neighbors for JT and maybe you do a 28 seconds and you pick up a 28 first or something. Yeah, I don't know if there's an easy deal there. This is probably the most obtainable running back here, Javonte Williams. Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately I'm probably just gonna hang tight. Yeah, Javonte plus. Let's see. Let's see what Sean says. Sean says, can you get Kyron for T? Yeah, like a Kyron tier, Javonte plus. That's kind of where I'd be looking. A lot of these guys are, and the hard part too is once you get to like a frisky tier team, like when you're down here, let's be honest, this guy's not an idiot. This guy knows like Devontae Adams by himself is not going to be a wide receiver 1 that carries a absolute trash team to the finals. When you get to this range, I mean, I'm a Panthers fan, right? I'm a Panthers fan. I got the Panthers shirt on. We've been there every year. I tell my wife, hey, I have a little bit of hope. I think the Panthers might make the playoffs. And she looks at me with the exact same expression of like, are we doing this again? That's what you are in this tier, is like you look at this team, I'm like, this could make the playoffs. And now, would I pick them? Probably not. But like you could sit there and say, okay, I mean, Dallas Goedert, what was tight end 5? Parker Washington, Matthew Golden, DK Metcalf, Chris Bell, Wendell Robinson. Okay, 2, 3 of them work. Maybe. I mean, this is probably the weakest spot, but let's be honest. The best spot you want to be, like the weakest spot in your roster, if it's a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, that's the best spot you want to be. It's the easiest. I mean, Jalen McMillan, let's toss him in. He was doing pretty good towards the end of the year. And then, like, again, Jeremiah Love, Cam Scatterboo, Javonte Williams. Frankly, this entire team comes down to these 3 guys. Like, if these 3 guys put up RB 16 numbers, 16 or better, all 3 of them are top 16 running backs and stay healthy, this team will be a playoff team. That's just how the game works. Running backs are key, and then, like, you got decent. So like the reason I went through the whole like let me paint it is that Javonte Williams is not an instant like, hey, like let me get Javonte Williams. That's not an instant. I don't know what the plus would be on top of Javonte, to be honest. I would certainly do Javonte plus for T Higgins, from your perspective, but I don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, this is similar, right? Like Bucky. Like, can you get Bucky? I would send T Higgins for Bucky straight up. People are very low on Bucky right now. But I mean, that being said, this is the same thing. Stafford looked really good last year. Got some young, interesting wide receivers. Brock Bowers. This flex spot could be interesting. You got Dalton Kincaid. It could be, Alec Pierce, Michael Wilson, JCM. There's a lot of options going around here. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Bucky. I'll pull this up. We got a little chat moment. Jake said Bucky is cooked. We got to increase the chat messages. Here we go. There we go. Bucky is cooked. I don't know if Bucky's cooked. It is a little concerning, but I just feel like Justin said, Bucky's a buy. Like everywhere I'm at, Bucky is close. I mean, to me the upside is so huge, right? Like I don't know. It's something I'm working on, but I can't pull super long ago stats. But I don't think Bucky is someone. I mean, like, look at this. Bucky sucks. He's cooked. 18 points per game in this format, right? Like, we're logged into a league, so it pulls in the specific formats here. And sure, he was injured. But even when he came back, it was 20 points, 19 points, 12, 11, 10, 17. Even these bad weeks, right, are okay. These are okay weeks. And sure, the Kenneth Gainwell, the scary Kenneth Gainwell, the crusher of dreams for running backs. Yes, he is there now, but like Rachaad White's gone, and that's probably going to be the similar role that we saw. I mean, Bucky's the guy from what I can tell. When he was healthy, he was absolutely crushing it in the beginning of the year. 18 points, 20, 20, 29. So to me, I would certainly send it if I'm trying to address, and like the weakest part here is like you toss in a Bucky. Bucky doesn't even have to be super consistent if Tootin is good. The issue is if Tootin's not good or Tootin's inconsistent. Like if Tootin takes some time to ramp up to be that RB1 that we want, and we all believe, because I got some Bucky or some Tootin bags as well. This becomes a little harder because you're like, okay, do I do Jordan Mason to week 6? Like, is that going to set me up for the best situation? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think I agree that Kyron and Javonte are the safer options, right? Like, I think to me, they're kind of like, do I want the easy option? I would rather have Javonte, to be honest, than Kyron. Like, I think the Blake Corum work is a little concerning if we're going to just like sit here and judge them all. And I think Bucky's ceiling is the highest. And in fantasy football, I kind of just try to chase the upside. All it takes is Bucky to have, like, if Bucky, like, tell me here, like, we're all in the Dynasty Daddy live stream week 4. Week 4. Bucky starts the season the exact same way. 18 points, 22 points, 20 points, 29 points. Right? 25 rushing attempts, 73% rush share, right? We're looking at worst game, which he still scored 29 points. But I mean, a lot of that's he got a touchdown, but 100 receiving yards, 25% target share. You sitting here telling me the same story? You're saying that? No. You're going to be like, "Oh man, he's 23. He's dropping 20% target share, 60, 50, 60% rush share. He's the next Christian McCaffrey." Like that's what we're going to hear, and that to me is why I would still lean Bucky, because I think the narrative is down on him right now, but all it takes is like 4 good weeks and all of a sudden everyone's like, "Okay, Bucky's like RB7 in Dynasty." Let's see. Small back. Let's see. Oh. Let's see. Small back that's already getting banged up, and the team has invested around him. The team has invested around him. That's definitely a high upside, but until he proves he can withstand high volume, he'll need to be hyper efficient. 18 seems to be an anomaly. Yeah, I mean, I do agree. There's certain concerns. The issue is, I'm a sucker, right? Like, I mean, y'all. Yeah, the ones in here chatting know. I'm always like, hey, Kyler Murray can't get much lower. Can't get much lower. Rushing upside quarterback. Like, if he just lands, he's going to be good for fantasy football. I believe the same here. Like, and you could see last offseason, I was like, hey man, I don't know if this Bucky hype is worth it, right? Like, is Bucky going to go to Jahmyr Gibbs, or is he going to go to where he is now? And I was more like, he's probably going to go to where he is now. I'm more inclined to sell. I think we've overcorrected. It's time to get on the Bucky buy train. Coach Speak said he had a nice tweet about the 1A, 1B splits. I haven't seen that. But yeah, I mean, higher ceiling on Bucky is that's the whole thing for me is the higher ceiling. If I can trade a T. Higgins, who frankly is in that Devonta Smith, like, no matter what you do, you are going to be worth like wide receiver 20 to 30. And that's okay. That's okay. You're worth an early second no matter what. But sometimes you got to roll the dice. It is a little high risk reward, but I mean, only one team wins, right? Only one team wins. And I think Bucky, give me the Bucky first 4 weeks of the year, and that to me is going to be super valuable. And versus like a Kyron, which is like, don't get me wrong, I love myself Kyron, but like Kyron is, we saw the Blake Corum splits start coming in, right? Kyron had 19 points a game. We're talking about like Bucky, like he's dead. Kyron only scored 0.5 more points, and now again he played way more games, which is important. But yeah, like these are great numbers. I'm not saying he's not, but like the narrative is going to be he's 25, 26, and we can look at the Corum touches, and that's going to scare people. I'm not really scared, but like we do see here, right? Like we're going to have this Blake Corum gnat kind of hitting away, poking away at the elite usage that we're hoping, because Kyron's not always the most efficient. So the usage is what really is, especially early on in Kyron's career, really carried him. And Javonte, I mean, I'll be honest, I'll take Javonte over all of them, because I think there's not a guy there. 19 points per game, but there's not a guy in Dallas that has the skill set of Javonte. So if I really need points, like Javonte's going to crush. All three are really good options. I do think Bucky from a dynasty value, like I'm going to be talking about him like, oh man, I got a fleece. Like Javonte Williams and Kyron is like buying like a DeAndre Swift. It's like you know what you're going to get. It's going to be good. Like you walk away with it. A Bucky is like, oh crap, I can't believe I bought Jonathan Taylor week 8 of his rookie year and everyone was down on him, and now he's like, valued super highly. Yeah, I mean, Kyron's tough. I feel like Kyron, you never get like a true price, to be honest. Like I know a lot of people like Corum. Kyron to me is kind of like, it's kind of like Chicken Little. Like everyone's like, the sky's falling, the sky's falling. I mean, like I pulled up the chart, right? We just saw the chart. It wasn't like Kyron's usage was dead. We just know that his elite usage might not be as consistent as we saw over, before he got the second contract. Yeah, I'm all for buying, but I don't know if the owners are ready to dump. Missed my opportunity in the startup. I already invested heavily at RB. Yeah, I mean, this is the hard part. Is like there's going to be managers like me, and there's no way in hell I'm sitting there being like, yeah, I'm going to sell low on Bucky Irving. Like we saw what he was rookie year. We saw what he was through the first 4 weeks. Busted his shoulder. I think he had like a hamstring or something else. Like football's a tough game. I mean, I couldn't play freaking one half and not come away with half the injuries that these guys come away with. So I expect a full off season. If it's a full off season, week 6, he's playing. There's no stories about injuries, and still the usage is weird, and that's when I'm like, oh, like just get me off this ship. But right now, I'm not. I mean, there's definitely a story on why it's not working. Let's see. If you don't own Quorum but own Chiron, it's an instant knock on the door for me. Let me see if I understand it right. So you're saying like if you own Chiron, you got to go get Quorum. I don't. Yeah, Quorum's tough for me. Quorum's in that weird tier of guys. I'm trying to think of a good example. Where it's like, oh, this guy's next man up, and I'm like, I don't know if he ever will be next man up. I'm trying to think if I can recall a good example. I doubt there's like another good active one. But like, there's always like these like somewhat interesting backup running backs, and you'll see them get valued in this range. I mean, I guess like the example would be like Jonathan Brooks, but like that's not like his fault. I think Tony Pollard's kind of a perfect example with Zeke, whereas like Tony Pollard is like he had this dynasty value forever, and it was because Zeke was going to fall off. Right, Zeke's going to fall off. Tony Pollard's going to be the guy. And how many years did we hear that story? And eventually it did happen. So maybe this is a point for the Quorum side. I just don't know if I can know when, right? Like, to me, I just never know if, Tevin Coleman, right? Like, I'm like, there's these high value drafted guys that people are high on. I don't know if I want to bet on that. I'd rather just like, because like you know who scored probably more in meaningful weeks than Blake Corum in terms of fantasy? It was like Michael Carter or Bam Knight, like these random dudes. And it's just because like random dude, someone has to touch the ball. I was saying sell Chiron to the Corum owner. Yeah, I mean I think that's the hard part with Chiron is he's like Devonta Smith of running backs, right? Like it's like, what are you going to get for him? Like, are you going to get a super interesting pick? You're probably going to get like an early second. That's kind of around the range you're looking at. I mean, like Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, this is a deal I would take any day of the week. I mean, give me the 101. I mean, talk about a bailout. I mean, okay, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, can I 27 first and Chiron in a second? I can get Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't know if I trust those deals. Let's look at Chiron deals. We'll lower the asset count so it's not some crazy. Yeah, I mean, Marv, Chiron Coker for, Jalen Waddle. I mean, there's some that are crazy. I mean, Chiron for a first and second. I'm taking that any day. Chiron from the 108. I'm not taking that. 28 first. If I'm rebuilding, I don't have much. Sure, I'll take a first. 27 first. I'll take that. 28. This is a great contending move. Give me McCaffrey. That's going to be, I don't know. I honestly don't know. 12 team start 10. This is a cheap deal right here. Like, these are the deals where it's like, if I can take any running back in a second and get Chiron, that is the buy price of like instant smash, late first round pick this year. Give me Chiron any day. Jalen Waddle. I mean, especially in this type of league, super shallow, 10 team start 8. Easily Kyron Williams is going to be the guy that matters in that format. Javonte for Kyron, shouts to the guys we're talking about right now. David Montgomery in second. I think that's an interesting one. That's probably where the value's at. I think this is probably the fairest trade I've seen. Because like David Montgomery, you probably feel pretty good about. And then that second, you get the extra skin in there. CMC over Chase Brown, CMC over Walker, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, I think CMC is like, it's like going to the casino and like you bring a certain amount of cash that you're okay losing. Like you're going to gamble and you're probably going to lose, but if you win, that's what CMC is all about, right? My fear is CMC's aging health. Yes, the issue with CMC is like if we pull up his player page. There's only one page on this entire site where you're going to see this production. 29 points. I mean, come on. How many games over 30 freaking fantasy points? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. 2 games over 40 fantasy points. You're not finding that anywhere. You're not finding out on Josh Allen's page. Like no other page is going to have that. And that's why that's why I was saying this is going to the casino with money. Right? This is going to the casino with money saying, hey, I have $500. It might all be gone tomorrow. And that's you trading for CMC. But when I put it all on red and it hits, I win my league. And that's why like whenever I see a roster and I look at a team that needs help and I'm like, what would fix this team as a contender? If you don't have CMC on your roster and CMC is on a mid to bad team, that's the first move I'm doing. Is I'm like, what is the CMC price? Because what's the price to gamble? What is the price to gamble on? Literally, I have the best player in the league or I get a 0. But I think CMC is straight up the most impactful player in fantasy football going into next year. So the deal so far is possibly Walker, Olave for CMC and Garrett Wilson, maybe something on top. Yeah, sometimes you got to sprinkle a little cherry. Let's take a look. I think I have. I looked at your league, right? Yeah. Okay, that was the neighbors. Okay. Let's see. It's the Walker and McCaffrey. Yeah, McCaffrey for Olave. For this Olave. What was the other one? Olave and Garrett. CMC and Garrett Wilson. Okay, I'm going to be 100% honest. I mean, this is fair on your favorite trade calculator. This one. That's funny. I mean, you're basically trading 4 players ranked right next to each other. If you're a contender, I'm doing this deal 100 times out of 100, and here's why. Let's look at the player value chart for. Oh, I had Kenneth Walker on there. Kenneth Walker, right? Let's talk about Kenneth Walker trade value over time. This is his all-time trade value on Dynasty Daddy. This goes back to June 2020, 2025. So it's been, honestly, shouts a year and a day. This is KeepTradeCut, right? So this is KeepTradeCut for the past year. Pretty similar charts here. The big thing here is December, all-time low value. What was happening here? Well, there's Charbonnet. He wasn't doing that great. He was putting up like 10 points a game. Okay. Charbonnet gets hurt, and then all of a sudden he rips. All of a sudden we have an amazing playoff run, Super Bowl MVP, all these crazy things because he was the only guy there. And he signs with the Chiefs. What could be a better offseason, a better narrative to sell him on, right? And then we're also talking, we can pretty much toss in Olave as well. Olave's pretty similar, right? Exact same story of, okay, well, like concussions, we're scared about him. And then, we got Tyler Shuck come in. I mean, even before it was Rattler, he's all right. Tyler Shuck comes in. Wait a minute, the Saints have a decent offense. This is kind of surprising. Oh, Olave is actually a wide receiver 6 in fantasy football. Now all of a sudden his value is valued all the way up here. To me, this is selling high on 2 guys that I don't think are bad, but I also don't think they have 2 things. They don't have the age premium, and they also are getting valued like you're buying at the peak. You're buying at the peak if you're buying them. And what's Olave's story? Like if we go jump into Olave and Kenneth Walker, is Olave going to be valued more than Garrett Wilson, Nico Collins, Pickens, Igbuka, Tate? Maybe in the most wild world, world. He has a crazy breakout again, and like, boom, all of a sudden we're up here. I don't think he goes any higher than 9. And what's the gap between this and that? I can live with. I can live with if I'm getting Christian McCaffrey production. And you can do the same thing with Kenneth Walker. Like, where's Kenneth Walker? Jesus, he's so high. RB9. Is there anything Kenneth Walker can do to jump 2 spots? Jump above Jonathan Taylor and James Cook? Maybe. I don't really know. I honestly don't know. It's hard. It's hard to look at his production here, right? 14 points per game, below all the running backs we were originally talking about, because this exciting Chiefs situation. And sure, the Chiefs have an interesting offense, but I also don't know if he's just going to be like this true bell cow that gets like an insane workload at the Chiefs. And will the Chiefs even be good? Based on what we saw last year and the injuries to Mahomes, like, is that offense even one that I want to invest in a ton? Like, to me, I'm getting the better wide receiver and better running back. The only scary part is CMC's health. But overall, like, give me the CMC upside. Because CMC averaged twice as many points as Kenneth Walker. Like, I'm not even joking. I mean, a healthy CMC breaks a league. How much would you spend to get CMC and Taylor in a single deal? That is interesting. I guess, like, I don't know if there's ever been, I bet there has been, but we'll see if there's a McCaffrey and Jonathan Taylor deal. I learned there's multiple ways to spell Jonathan recently. Okay, there hasn't been in the past month for this, I guess, Max. That would make sense. Let's see, McCaffrey. I learned there's multiple ways to spell Jonathan. That's what I was going to say. Because Jonathan Brooks is fun. THON. Jonathan Taylor is THAN. That was always messing me up. Okay, so we have 2 in the past month with a 6 asset count. So not a massive, we swapped half teams. I assume this is too early first, right? The 102 in 2027 first. I think this is a fair deal. This is an odd one. I'd be curious to see the team because, like, how do you end up with the 102 and probably an early 27 first? And you're like, hey, you know what fixes it? 2 old running backs. And that being said, Jonathan Taylor and Christian McCaffrey are probably the 2 running backs to do that. This one's even crazier. I mean, this is not even a realistic deal. You're like, hey, what can you add? Like, what's a McCaffrey Taylor deal look like? Oh, also, we just kind of snuck in a Josh Allen. This is just someone buying on the dynasty hype of a Dart, Tet, and Henderson, but this is certainly not a smart deal to do, in my opinion. I think this is you might win you don't even win the dynasty value game. I mean, you lose the dynasty value game and you lose the fantasy point production game. Then what are you doing? I mean, maybe you're a Giants fan or something, but yeah, that's a rough deal. Let's see if we bump up the asset count. We get another interesting. Yeah, I mean, this is just another crazy trade that I don't even know how to do analysis for, because it's just like, hey, let's just throw all the best players in fantasy football together. Yeah, I mean, I think this is a good microcosm of what we'd be looking at for what it would be. Look, I think it's about 2 first-round picks. I think both are about 2 early first-round picks. Not too early. I think McCaffrey is about any first-round pick, depending on the team. I think McCaffrey on a contending team is untouchable. I think McCaffrey on a mid to bad team, it's like, what does the market give you? And I only know that because I was in a league and I traded Christian McCaffrey. I traded him for a first and a second round pick, right? I traded him to the best team in the league, Christian McCaffrey, for his 27 first and my second round pick back this year, which isn't an amazing deal. But my team was bad, and I was like, I have an amazing player, and it's hard for me to sit here with Christian McCaffrey and be like, what if he gets hurt, and then all of a sudden I can't get a first at all? So I think Christian McCaffrey is around like a mid to late first-ish value. But you add in Jonathan Taylor, like the combo of making both of those in one deal, I think it kind of upgrades that one pick. Like, I think Jonathan Taylor is like an early first and something else. So that something else is bumping up, a mid 26 first to that early 26 first. But that's around the range I would look for. Those are hard deals to make, though, in terms of like finding an actual interesting trade that works for both people. Let me make sure I hit all of the comments. What in the world? I was hovering over that. That's like, is it like a different language or something? Let's see. Okay. We got. I hope I answered that well for you, Kyle. Paid the 105 for CMC this offseason. Got scared to down tier to ETN and got a projected mid second and early third in 2027. And now I feel better. Yeah, so it was a 105 for CMC, and then you down tiered to ETN. So I got CMC to ETN, got a second and a third. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like Mekhi Lemon for CMC, like if you're trying to win, give me CMC, man. I mean, CMC is just 29 points per game, locked and loaded. That's what he's going to do every single year if he stays healthy. I mean, if he stays away from that substation. Yes, team's pretty even, and I'm wanting to contend. Yeah, I mean, I love, if you're trying to contend, the CMC Garrett Wilson package is certainly the best package that you can do for this type of league. I think that's a great thing. Let me see what is going on. Usually I am. Usually I got the cushy chair. I'm not out here trying to make things work. So today we're making things work. But that means I can do some cool stuff. So we can show off a few things here. So if you have any questions, first off, keep the chat going. Definitely post stuff in there. I'll have to check the Discord too real quick. Let me actually do that right now. Make sure I'm not missing a live stream ask. Sean did ask if we're rocking a startup mock. It should be best ball. Let me know if y'all want to do a mock. I don't know if we have enough people in here. It is kind of the summer season. People are on vacation. We're NBA drafts going on, World Cups going on. There's a lot going on. So I understand. And I'm not the man with the plan like Will when it comes to the live streams. So we can try to make it work if people are interested, but if not, we can always talk about other stuff. We got a question in the chat. Let me jump over there. I have the 103 and the 104 and already have Gibbs A-Chain. So now have ETN and Swift for RB3s and 4s. Just wanted to get some liquid value without tearing off my booze. So let me understand. I have the 103 and the 104, and I already have Gibbs and A-Chain. So now I have ETN and Swift. So I assume you have Gibbs, A-Chain, ETN, Swift with the 3, with the 4. I think that's perfect. I mean, with all things considered, about the 103 and 104, you're not looking at a running back unless you reach on price. So with those 4 running backs you already have, you can sit here and say, hey, do I want the Mendoza? Do I want the Tyson? Do I want whatever? You can kind of just pick the player that's best available or trade them away. So you get the extra flexibility there. Unless I don't know if I'm reading it wrong and it's like, hey, I traded the 103 and 104 for Swift ETN, which even then I don't necessarily hate. You probably gave up a little bit of value, but running backs are just so important, man. Like people just don't want to. People get too caught up on the dynasty value and things like that, but running backs are the game right now. Did you hear from anyone else about Terry or just blind send out? I assume you're talking about the blockbuster deal I made. We got to pull up. I think it's an Alpha Daddy. Will's not here. I don't have to talk about him winning the Alpha Daddy League, but I think we do need to talk about me sending out my Terry McLaurin for a second trade, which, and you can see with all the Mark Andrews for a second trades, which none of them are getting accepted. Yeah, I just sent out shouts to the Dynasty Daddy bulk trade tool, but I was just sitting here. I'm like, my team stinks. I need to get rid of all these old guys. Is it Terry McLaurin for a second? Will anyone take it? Will anyone help me out here? Make it easy. Went in here, queued it up, toss in a second, generate trades, bada bing, send it out. So that's what I did with that. Just because we don't need to dwell. We don't need to dwell. This is not my finest work. It's not my finest work. But yeah, I mean, this is a team that clearly has a little bit of an uphill battle. Quarterbacks are set. The question mark comes. I mean, frankly, the question mark is like, how do I piece together a decent enough running back room? And I just sat there and I was like, Terry McLaurin does not fit the window of this team. Let me get off of him. Just like Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews doesn't really fit the window of my team. I have a ton of tight ends. The real question here is like, how do I put together a running back room that can compete? And do I even want to? Right? Is this one where Devonta Smith, T. Higgins do their thing? See what happens with Jordan Tyson. Maybe he does something good. And then Sadiq, I can let them play and see what happens there. Jade Daniels, May, Mendoza, they'll all be fine. I mean, I think Aaron Rodgers, maybe, we'll do a little tease here, right? We'll show off the functionality. Where's the Aaron Rodgers at? I don't need Aaron Rodgers. So we'll send Aaron Rodgers out for a third to everyone. I guess Aaron Rodgers for a third is fair, right? I can't be selfish with Aaron Rodgers, right? Like it's definitely Aaron Rodgers for a third. Maybe should I do Aaron Rodgers in a fourth? I saw Aaron Rodgers in a fourth for a second. I don't think I'm getting that. To me, I regenerated them all. Let's send it out. I don't really care. Put not on there. Boom. And we'll send out those trades. See if someone helps me out, because ultimately, and this is the thing with a rebuilder, is it's like, what is Aaron Rodgers this year for me? Even if I lose 15% on the trade, technically in value, the extra 85% that I get that I can use next year or in the future or whenever to actually fit the construction of my team matters. So that is crucial to me. So it was simply me going through my leagues and being like, hey, this team is clearly not a team I think is going to make a run. Sometimes I like to let them play out, right? Like if it's in the middle, like if it's like a team like this, where it's like, okay, like there's things I could see working out right. Like you toss in like a DeAndre Swift or someone like that to this team could make a decent run. There's enough talent here that things could fall right. They might get lucky. I would feel okay with. But this team was just so bad. I was like, Terry McLaurin doesn't fit my window. Aaron Rodgers doesn't fit my window. These are guys I just need to get any value for, because at least, if I get 80 cents on the dollar, it's at least 80 cents I can use to build for something that matters, and not just like saying, well, like I got to go down with the ship. Holding the trade I quote unquote won. And I think honestly, Terry McLaurin for a second, which is this trade here, was a good deal. I mean, I think that's a good deal for me. I'm super happy I was able to get a 27. I mean, like this team's good, so it's probably going to be a mid to late second, but still, I think that's a great deal for me to be able to get a. That's technically not even his team. Was it on Murr? I guess it was. Oh, I just misread it. Yeah. Like it fits him too. I mean, he's sitting here saying, I have DJ Moore as a wide receiver 1. My team looks like a decent enough contender. Like, how do I narrow the gap without buying a super expensive wide receiver? And we've seen Terry McLaurin do it before. Let's see. Did he? Yeah, I just blind sent him out. No, I still had the 1. Okay, yeah, you still had the 103 and 104 on top. Yeah, I mean that's a perfect spot to be. You aren't. I usually in rookie drafts, I don't believe in drafting for need, unless if you have the same tier, right? Like if you're sitting here trying to think of a good tier, if you're sitting there and it's Jordan Tyson and Fernando Mendoza, I would not blame you for taking Mendoza. I would not blame you for taking Mendoza if you need a quarterback. All right. That would, I think, if you pick for like best player available though, like even if I don't have a quarterback, like I'm taking Tate over Mendoza 10 times out of 10. I just think the value is so much more important of if Tate becomes that true wide receiver one, that's going to be way more impactful than me having a Mendoza where it's like, I need you to be a top 6 quarterback or better to actually be significant. Thank you. Thank you, Curtis. My quarterbacks are sick in that league, and that's what matters. What matters is I have 2 cool quarterbacks. Oh, what would you need to tear down from Marv to QJ? Dude, that is a fun trade. I love me some QJ, man. QJ is kind of warming up to me. You know, I'm not kind of. He's kind of my guy. Marv to QJ. Let's pull up the trade database. At least get some inspiration. This is always where I start. Always where I start. Let's Quentin. Where's it? Johnston. Quentin Johnston for Marv. I think this is honestly a pretty savvy tear down, all things considered. And I'll limit the asset count so it's not massive. I mean, and I think the surprising thing is it's going to kind of depend. Because I think, like, if someone came to me and was like, hey, I'll give you Marv, you give me QJ plus, this is going to be what my plus looks like, to be honest. Like, I think these guys are honestly pretty close. We're talking first-round draft capital wide receivers. Marv has not had the stretch that QJ has had in the beginning of the year. Like, I think that beginning of the year stretch to me was something where he looked all, especially these 2 weeks, 13 targets, 10 targets, before the offensive line really gave out. We saw really good target share from Quentin Johnston. He's someone that I think at this price point is so cheap, and has true wide receiver upside or wide receiver one upside. Only 24 years old, and I don't think I know everyone loves to kind of crown Lad as the guy, but I could totally see like next year we're sitting here talking about Quentin Johnston being the guy. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I do think that is one of the bets. Like everyone had, like last year, everyone had the Josh Downs bet of like, we love Josh Downs. He wins on blah, blah, blah. I think this is my bet. If I'm going to take a gross wide receiver, it's going to be someone that I can get for super cheap, like a second, a third, like this type of thing, like kind of tear down off booty to get QJ. Yeah, like that to me is a huge win. I think there's a lot that QJ can do. And like, this is a crazy deal. I mean, this is a smash 10 times out of 10, kind of do Marv, get QJ in the first. But I mean, you see there's a couple of them in here. And I personally, where I stand is it's probably a second. You're probably looking at QJ a second for Marv. Depends how high the person is on Marv. And like, I think Marv is good, but I mean, we're talking about someone that, like, this year is very disappointing. Very disappointing. 10 points per game, but like a lot of these weeks were also just like zeros, and that's the hard part. Is like, especially his playoff run was atrocious. Like, he straight up lost people any sort of chance at winning a ring. And I mean, if you drafted Marvin Harrison Jr., you probably had no shot at winning a ring anyway. But yeah, I would say it's probably around a early to mid-ish second is what the plus would be. And depends kind of what it actually turns into. Kind of get a late first this year, a super far out first, absolute smash on all those types of deals. Especially in a 12-team start 11. Right, you mentioned the Superflex tight end premium here. 12-team start 11 Superflex double tight end premium. Give me the tear down. I feel good flexing a tight end as well in this type of format. Double tight end premium. So I really love a cheap wide receiver room when that tight end premium is double. My team is such a question mark in alpha, but weakest at wide receiver. So Terry can come in with the rest of the old heads. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I was looking at with that team, where I was like, because I was like, oh man, like, did everyone decline that trade? I didn't realize it went through. And I saw your team and it was like, oh yeah, I mean, DJ Moore is your wide receiver one. And after that, it's kind of question marks. Like, I mean, Michael Wilson looked interesting. Ricky Pearsall's interesting. Godwin, Tyreek Hill is probably not going to be impactful. So yeah, I mean, this to you also makes sense. And that's part of the beauty of Dynasty is like there's different windows and different. My team needs a pick. Your team needs a cheap wide receiver that is actually going to be on the field and produce. Makes perfect sense. And you're trying to keep up with the big dogs, right? You're trying to keep up with Gator and Dabadoobie and we don't need to mention Will. But yeah, you're trying to keep up with the teams at the top. And in order to do that, you got to be able to nickel and dime your way into some good production, right? And like that's like the Wendell Robinson piece. I mean, Terry McLaurin's 1 year removed from being like a top 6 wide receiver in fantasy football. So I don't think that's a bad deal at all for you. I'm not sitting here being like, oh, fleece. I'm happy from my perspective that hey, I got a second round pick. This is awesome. That's going to help me build my team and hopefully get out of the gutter. And the fact that for you, it's like sick. I still have 2 first round picks to address this issue, right? And these to me, I'm sitting here, I'm like, hey, I'm still probably going to be knocking at that wide receiver door, but now I have a little bit of depth. I have a little bit of breathing room to where now maybe I look at these 2027 picks. I don't know where that Perry pick is going to be. It's probably going to be in mid to late. But is there a trade out there for a wide receiver? Right, like this is probably where I'm going. Is I'm probably looking like Ray. Like, hey, is Devontae Adams or AJ Brown available? Like, is that AJ Brown for like a late 27 first? Is that available? But like again, like just the Terry McLaurin kind of gets the dog off your back of like, oh man, I have to do this. Now you can kind of pick and choose when you actually go in. Let's see. We got team is a 10 by 10 PPR. We got no name. 10 by 10 PPR, 0.5 tight end premium. Allen, Hurts, Darnold, Gibbs, Achane, ETN, Swift, Puka, Amon-Ra, JJ, Lemon, Tyson, McBride, Cuffs, start, sit on bench. Now, it is a shallow league, so there's a lot of really good names here. So let me just digest it for a second. Yeah, I mean, this team is amazing. I think for a 10 by 10 league, this is still probably an amazing team. Quarterback doesn't matter a ton outside of like probably the top 3 guys in this format, but still Allen, Hurts could totally be a top 3 quarterback. Fantasy football wise, I'm not trying to stir up anything. Gibbs, Achane, lock it in, and then you got some solid flex players in ETN and Swift. Puka, Amon-Ra, amazing. And then you got JJ, like you got the JJ question mark. But even behind that, you got the youth of Lemon, Tyson, and then McBride. I mean, it's almost harder to build a team like that. Hey, you know your audience, Dynasty Savvy. You know your audience. And I'm not sitting here saying he is like insane, but I do think a tier down to QJ is an interesting bet, right? It's an interesting bet when you look at the other guys. Like let's just look at some of these Chargers. I guess let's see. LAC. Why is it only okay? I guess it doesn't filter like that. Okay. I mean, like we have Ladd, right? Currently, Dynasty wide receiver 17, averaged 11 points per game last year. Pretty solid. I mean, look at these numbers though. I mean, like only 2 games over 10 plus targets, decent target shares. I'm not gonna sit here and act like he was terrible. Right, we have Keenan Allen, who is not on a team currently. And this is kind of the hope, right? The hope is Keenan Allen is gone. And yeah, Jeremy is free. Just gotta Jeremy is free. We are roughing it today. This is a little bit of the pre-will stream. There's only a few of those up on the channel. I had a couple of like live development streams. I don't know if I only had like a couple viewers back then. And I don't know if any of them watched that stream, but I would just kind of hang out and code and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think Keenan Allen gone. The hope is Ladd takes over that usage. trying to think what else. I mean, obviously, then we got QJ, right? Wide receiver 40 currently, 12 points per game. He had more points per game, not the ultimate stat, but and I think, I mean, especially in best ball, QJ is a guy I would rather have because like these weeks killed you, right? These weeks where it's like, oh man, 11 points projected, 11 points, okay, 0 points, like that hurt. This was a good week. That was an okay week. This hurt, right? Like the ones where it's like way below the red line, those are the weeks that really hurt. But the upside is there, man. Like we've seen so many good weeks of solid production that I feel like I'd rather say, hey, what if these zeros just become 9 and the big spike weeks that QJ had continue to exist. And I know there's the Trey Harris, right? Wide receiver 73. We saw a little bit of growth. Don't be freaked out about the chart because the peak is 9 points. But there's still not enough here for me to draw a ton of conclusions. I mean, 4 points per game, not a ton to read into. But yeah, I mean, to me, it comes down to cheap bets. And I think, let's see, we can look at the utilization report actually, because I think I can filter. Right, if I filter by wide receiver here, if I'm looking at cheap bets for the Chargers, I mean, obviously you can be like, oh, like Brennan Thompson. I don't want to get that cheap. But I mean, like realistic cheap bets, it's harder to find a better bet than QJ in terms of being in the top offense. Someone that's super cheap, could produce really well. And that's why I just sit here and say constantly, like, I'm a big fan of QJ because some people are getting him for like a third. Like they're getting him as a throw in, all this stuff. I was offered QJ and Surratt from Marv by my co-host because he knows I love QJ. Yeah, I don't know if I'm the biggest Surratt guy. Like I'm like, can I get that to be like a second or something? I absolutely smash it then. But that's kind of me just not wanting to have too many of these wide receivers where I'm like, are you gonna score points yet or not? Will wasn't ready then. I know Will. I mean, honestly, you learn to appreciate Will and how the stream runs when you got to do it all yourself, and you're like, wait a minute, how do I get chat messages to show up? Because my chat thing's not working. I got to screen share it all. But let me show. Obviously, we're still running. We're an hour in. Anyone wants any questions? Keep them coming. Helps your boy out. Let me double check. I know we got another question. Just double check the live stream ask. Okay, we do have a live stream ask as well, so I'll make sure to hit that. As that loads. Nope, not that one. Let's go here. Thoughts on RB heavy builds first, wide receiver heavy builds in Dynasty. So this is an interesting question. I think this is the zag that has been zagging for the past 2 years. Is running back builds are just straight up better. And the hard part is the idea of Dynasty wide receivers is the reason we're always so inclined to say, well, make sure you get your wide receivers first. Make sure you build wide receiver and quarterback. You can watch old videos of me being like, build out those wide receivers and quarterbacks first, and then address your running back. To me, it's like get those elite running backs. The rest can kind of figure itself out. If you have a Christian McCaffrey dropping 30 points per game, if you have a Jahmyr Gibbs, you have a Jonathan Taylor scoring 3 touchdowns per game, that's going to be what what carries your season. You should propose a trade with me live right now. Maybe I will. That I will do something after I answer the questions. You did miss my exciting Aaron Rodgers for a third trades. I blasted to one league. But thoughts on RB heavy builds? I just think we are in the era where people are really starting to realize. I can show it here. Look at this. Look at this right here. This is the top running backs according to Dynasty Daddy trade values, which are based on real fantasy football trades. And thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of real drafts. But what stands out to me is 4 years ago, we would not have like maybe these guys, these 5 guys, right? The RB1 would be valued like 24th in Dynasty. That's just how it is. Now we have, people are starting to realize, wait a minute, if I have Bijan Robinson, who's dropping 370 fantasy points on my freaking fantasy football league, like, I don't care. I don't care if what he looks like in 3 years. I don't care if Todd Gurley happens. That's 370 fantasy points in a fantasy football year. Right? And like, I think ultimately what it is Todd Gurley happened and everyone was like, oh my gosh, I got screwed. Like, it was like the Andrew Luck of running backs, where it's like, oh my gosh, he was elite and now he's nothing. Like, what the hell happened here? And everyone's like, oh, running backs just fall off a cliff hard. That's just how it is. To me, you look at what happens with the Bijan, with the Gibbs, even Ginty. I mean, Ginty had an all right year, 245 points, still solidly RB3, dynasty asset. Jeremiah Love, another one. A-Chain, Hampton, Taylor, right? Taylor's 27, right? Valued extremely high. These are Dynasty Daddy values, right? These are not KeepTradeCut. 5,000 in Dynasty Daddy is very high. 31st overall. James Cook. We're in the era where these guys are not only producing elite numbers, but they're insulated. And that's the reason why everyone, and some people couldn't explain, but that's the reason why everyone said build around wide receivers, is because these top 5 guys are always insulated. They're always insulated from whatever else happens in the league. Everyone's like, oh, I don't need to worry about CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb is solid. Like, even if he's hurt, it's CeeDee Lamb. I'm good. That to me is the biggest change, is that the value in Dynasty is catching up, where people are like, wait a minute, if I've had Bijan Robinson for the past freaking 3 years, I've been living it up. I've been living it up. I've been having the most valuable position, elite production at that position. And that's why, like, the Dynasty running back's a thing now. And frankly, like, we kind of have it. I kind of like where we are in terms of valuing a lot of the assets, right? Because, like, ultimately, now we have 3 positions really in play for the elite tiers. I mean, Bowers is up there, but outside of Bowers, like, who really cares? But even here, it's like, would I take Caleb Williams? Or, like, I still think these quarterbacks are probably a little too high for my liking. Like, I think Amon-Ra, I'd probably take Ashton Ginty. I'd probably take even maybe Jeremiah Love, just because the scarcity and the impact of an elite running back is night and day more impactful than, a quarterback. Like, I can find 300-something points at quarterback. I can find that a lot of places, right? Like, if we sort by points, here it is. Baker Mayfield scored 323 fantasy points at quarterback. Sam Darnold scored 285. Sam Darnold's going at the bottom of, like, the 11th round in startup drafts. And, like, that guy scored almost as many points as some of the guys going way ahead. I mean, I know Caleb Williams scored, like, 100 more points. But I think the scarcity at running back is just more significant. Because, like, look at this. I mean, we can easily see it. Here's the score. The running backs that scored more than 300 fantasy points. Right? Like, the fall off is so much higher. So if I lock up one of these 300 fantasy point running backs in a position where not only do I have to start multiple running backs, I have to start flexes as well. Like, it's, like, when people are like, it's a super flex league, I need to overvalue quarterback. It's like, how many flexes does your league have? How many running back spots does your league have? You need to value running back, because not only do quarterbacks score more points on average, but more of them are scoring high number of points than running back. And you have to start way more running backs. So if you have a team that has a Bijan and a Kenneth Walker, or a Bijan and a Christian McCaffrey. I mean, you're killing your league. I mean, you're basically like guaranteed to finish in top 4. Thank you, Dynasty Savvy. You're cooking tonight, Jeremy. RB heavy builds. They're back, baby. That's the meta until it changes. That's what the game is all about at this point. Let me double check, see where this window pulled up for the live stream. Ask. Adding a little sound effect in there. Any suggestions for what to do with this roster? Came out of the startup where QBs went crazy high. Just talking about quarterbacks going way too high. Never tried a gross QB build, but here we are. 12 team, start 10 super flex, 2 wide receivers, 3 flex, 6-point passing touchdown, 0.5 tight end premium. Let's jump into it. Okay, I mean, this is gross quarterback, right? Ty Simpson, QB2. We got Geno Smith locked into a starting lineup. The first thing that really jumps out to me is first off, like, you're like, hey, man, it's a gross build. It's a gross build. Starter rank 2. So, I mean, you've done a hell of a job drafting. I mean, that's all I got to say. Number 2, let's talk about the good. How many quarterbacks are here, right? Not only did you say, hey, I'm going weak at quarterback, but I'm owning that gross quarterback market. Right? This is exactly where you want to be. I got to guarantee you. Let me throw out a number. 4 of these guys are going to start games, at least. Out of these non-starters, Drew Alarn down. 4 of these guys are going to start games at least next year. So, cool. Free starts. And not only that, but you're going to be able to take advantage of it. Number 3. We're on number 3 now. Number 3 is we have picks. We can go down here. Let's look at this fraud team. Okay, maybe not that team. Maybe not that team. Those quarterbacks are expensive. Trust the process. Okay. All these quarterbacks are expensive. Here's a team. This team, week 6. They're 2-4. Hey, man. You want a second and a third? Give me Jared Goff. Now you can have the Rams future, Rams past with Stafford and Jared Goff on the same team. Like, it's so much easier for you to take that second round pick and go buy a Malik Willis, go buy someone. Like, it's kind of funny because quarterbacks went super high, but a lot of these teams that are bad, kind of have decent quarterback rooms. I mean, Bryce Young, right? I mean, do you want to buy Bryce Young? No one wants to pay for Bryce Young, but Bryce Young is a gross quarterback, right? Like, to me, this is a perfect range to live in. And what did that do, right? You're like, hey, I don't need to over index on freaking expensive quarterbacks that are not going to be Josh Allen. What did that enable me to do in a full PPR league? That enabled you to go out and get Puka Nacua and Amon-Ra and Nico Collins, Jeremiah Love, great value. Shouts to earlier in the stream with Bucky Irving, Jadarian Price. Yeah, I mean, I love where this team is at. And you have all your future picks. This is a team where I'm sitting here. I'm week 5, week 6. I'm saying, okay, I'm 4-2. Things are going all right. Jadarian Price usage is not exactly where I want it to be. Let me go look at one of these 1-5 teams and say, maybe Chuba. Maybe Chuba fits my window. Maybe I can send a third for Chuba. Get a little bit of help at the running back room. Oh, this team's trust the process. They got Jahmyr Gibbs, though. Maybe I go crazy mode and say, Jadarian Price and 2 first-round picks. Let's have a Jahmyr Gibbs conversation, right? Like, this team needs help. Here's my future, and you get a rookie. Give me that guy. Give me that elite running back. The flexibility is all there. It comes down to risking not having that perfect lineup. And, like, let's be honest. You can sit here and say, hey, I might not have the perfect lineup right now. But even with not having the perfect lineup, you're starter rank 2. You're 4th overall in value. Like, you're loaded, man. You're loaded. It's exactly where you want to be. And the way you're playing both the quarterback and running back. I didn't even touch on the backup running backs. I love the consolidation at the wide receiver, tight end room. It's okay. Like, I'm okay with you giving 1 or 2 roster spots. You like Caleb Douglas, sure, go for it. I do think you probably need to try to get someone a little bit more. Like, I doubt you're going to get on waivers at this point. You're probably going to want to try to get someone that's has a little bit more upside. But that being said, worst case, you play one of these guys in your flexes. Maybe like a Wayndell Robinson. There's probably some gross Wayndell Robinson, Jacoby Myers that you can buy for cheap. Jalen McMillan, pretty decent cheap option as well. But yeah, I mean, I love this is an amazing start, right? Like, because you got 3 blue chippers, and you have, frankly, one guy that's an undervalued guy at this point. The drop off's pretty steep in terms of dynasty value for Nico Collins, but he's someone that, as a wide receiver 3, is an ultimate luxury. And if Bucky Irvin hits, I mean, this team is off for the races. So, I mean, this is a great spot to be. I think you asked where. Let's see. You asked what's 2 suggestions for this roster. I mean, I think the biggest suggestion I would have is, I mean, you already kind of cleaned up the roster. I do think potentially trying to find a deal for a wide receiver 4 that's gross, like a QJ, a Chris Godwin, a Cortland Sutton, like someone that is gross, doesn't have this long-term future, like a Mike Evans, but will give you that extra boost with the flex spot. And then potentially looking at like a Jadarian Price, like, hey, Jahmyr Gibbs, like, is there a big tier up using Jadarian Price's rookie hype to get me someone that will just score meaningful points now from one of these bad teams? But ultimately, I think this is an amazing spot to be. I mean, this is a perfect example of, and we can even pull up the draft, but this is a perfect example of, this is a rookie draft. I think I have the full draft. This is the perfect example of just like kicking the can, and I don't know what's going on here with this retired owner. It's probably with the kickers. Which one's William Bell, right? But like, just not caving with these quarterbacks, and we can see how high these quarterbacks went. Josh Allen, Drake May, normal stuff. Jaden Daniels, that's a little bit high. Joe Burrow, the 108. Lamar Jackson, 111. I think the Burrow pick is certainly very high, given that he's 29, hasn't really produced, or not hasn't produced, but has been banged up. Like, I'd be looking at him more in this range. Caleb Williams hype is real, and then we saw it's really this like end of mid second, early third round is where just a ton of these quarterbacks went off. And I get it. I mean, you start looking at guys like Tet, Rashee Rice, Pickens. Like, you don't feel great about these guys. That being said, I'd much rather Devon Achane, James Cook. Let's see who you got. Nico Collins, amazing pick. Looks like, I don't know, I assume you probably traded up here, and that's maybe why you don't have your third. But yeah, I mean, I think overall, I really enjoy it. Let's see, I don't have kicker pages. Let's see where we're at. Let's see. Yeah, I might counter and change Sherratt to a second. Thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate it. You're cooking tonight. Appreciate it. Try my best. I feel like a fish out of water. Burrito Master, I like it. So stick with the squad. Wait for some teams to see who they are. Seller and swoop in on that. Exactly. That's the best thing is you don't want to be the one that has no leverage. And I can tell you a painful story of a young Jeremy in his home league. I needed wide receiver production, and I went to a team that was a fraud team, just sucking. And I'm like, hey man, give me. It was right after Deontay Johnson was popping off for the Panthers. I'm like, give me Deontay Johnson for a second. Make my day. But I didn't have the leverage because I needed those points. And what happened was he's like, how about 2? How about 2 seconds? And I was desperate. And no one else would give me a decent deal. I couldn't find a deal I liked. And I said, Deontay Johnson, amazing target share, all of that. Smash. 2 seconds, Deontay Johnson. Next week, he was cut. So be patient. When you have the leverage, enjoy it. And you got to take advantage of it. You do not want to sell your leverage just because you're bored or you had a couple beers and you're like, let me make a trade. So this is a great spot to be. You don't need to have that quarterback. You don't need to have an elite quarterback 1. You have 2 starting quarterbacks. If the league started today, you'd be fine. Jeremy, that monologue you just delivered on the value RBs was a thing of beauty. I'm giving you a dramatic slow clap. Thank you, Dynasty Savvy. Maybe that's a new thing. Maybe we're doing monologues here. When Will's not here to keep the pace going, I'm just going on a monologue. Master class. Just waiting for my opportunity to sub in. Shout outs, Dynasty Jake. It's always good to see you in the chat. I know we're missing Will today. We're missing Will. And I mean, I'll tell you one thing. I'm missing him for sure. It's I'm out here doing 400% zoom on chat to pull up chat messages. What's the trade strategy this time of year? That is an interesting question. And I don't know if there's like a perfect answer for what is a good the trade strategy this year. Typically, I would say, let me see. Maybe we get weird with it. Should we get weird with it? Because Will's not here to kind of cut me off. Let's get weird with it. Okay. Y'all ready? Let's see. This is when it's a little behind the scenes. When Jeremy is in one of his serious work meetings and we're just talking in circles and I'm just like, I don't know what the hell's going on. I just start drawing. I just screen share and just start drawing a chart. And everyone's like, wow, Jeremy, thank you. Thank you for making this chart. This is so nice. I think there's two circles of thought, right? There's like the ideal way. And you have a circle. I don't know why it's not perfect. But you have a circle. Right? And we'll just label it off season. Right? So we have the off season. And then we have we'll call it like preseason, right? This is like preseason. This is mainly the redraft startup drafts. And I think there's probably another season in here I have to do, right? So we have off season. And I got to do rookie draft season, right? So we have rookie draft season. We have preseason. Maybe it's preseason down here. Maybe I need to. We'll see. We'll have to see how many categories I end up setting up. This could go off the rails. This is what happens when Will's not here. When Will's not here, I'm drawing a circle. Then we have the NFL season, right? So this is like regular season in fantasy. And I want to separate this out. So like I'm going to call early regular season. Right? So we have early regular season, and then we'll do kind of like up to deadline. And I'll talk about the leagues that don't have a deadline, but unfortunately most leagues do have a trade deadline. This is like up to deadline. So this is kind of like that late season push. And then we have playoffs, the fantasy playoffs. And then we have like real playoffs, real NFL playoffs. So this is kind of the way the world goes. right? I don't know if I can put like a little arrow on it or something, but this is the way the world turns in fantasy football. This is the normal fantasy football schedule. We right now are in the off-season phase. Ooh, I can draw. That's what we need. We need to have some drawing. But ultimately, the optimal strategy, I would say, in each season, but in the off season especially, to me, this is the buy vets, right? Buy cheap vets from rebuilders. I think this is probably the best time to do it, right? Because the risk is I don't know which vet will score, right? That's the issue. If I buy a vet in the early, and especially in the late regular season, I know they're scoring, right? A great example here is Devontae Adams, right? All right, 2020, was it 2025? Let's do a little story of Devontae Adams. He was a young boy that got traded to the Rams. That's a pretty exciting move in the offseason. You can still get him for cheap because he's injured and he's behind Puka Nacua. Preseason starts, okay. Early season, wow, his usage is really nice. Leading up to the trade deadline, oh, wow, he's like the contender buy. He's scoring so many touchdowns. He's looking super elite. Oh, man, fantasy playoffs, he is just the guy. He's like a top 12 wide receiver in fantasy football, even though he's super old and cheap. If I bought him all the way back here, I'm paying like 2/3. The issue is I didn't know if he would be the guy. And that's why, for me, this is where if I'm a contender, I'm looking to buy, right? And like that's where we talked about a trade earlier today that I sent as a pretender, as a bad team. I sent away Terry McLaurin for a second to Curtis. And he took it because he is a contender. And he's saying, hey, my second round pick, if he becomes Devontae Adams, late season playoffs, that's a huge win because here I'm paying a second. Here I'm paying a late first. You're sending a first for Devontae Adams in this phase. So I think the best value right now is kind of picking a bet on some of these cheap vets, right? Like I think good options, good current examples would be like who would I bet would be, I think Mike Evans is a great example. I think Scary Terry is a decent example. I like QJ. I think QJ is a good bet. He also has a little bit of dynasty upside, but guys like that, where it's like super cheap upside. I mean, Sutton has kind of always been that, but these are guys that like will produce, probably end up being like wide receiver 20 plus or 20 minus. I mean 20 plus isn't better than Mike Evans will be like wide receiver 11. But these are guys here that, especially if you're like a middle to bad team, they're going to be like, okay, I can live without these guys. Another hard part about trading in the offseason is, and I talked about with the Panthers, right? Like everyone has hope. Everyone has hope in the offseason. Like when we get to like early, mid season, there's probably 7 teams that are trying. When we're sitting here in the offseason, I guarantee you there's probably 9 or 10 teams that are like, we'll see how this plays out. I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to trade with Mike Evans. What if Mike Evans is the guy I need? Once it's week 5, week 6, they're like, okay, like it's not happening. I'm going to trade away Mike Evans. The issue is that price went up if that Mike Evans is producing. So I think the biggest advantage here is buy cheap vets because we don't know which vet will produce. So you might be able to hit on the right vet, especially if you got those thirds and stuff. Like send them out as a contender because like what's a 27 late third going to do for you? Probably nothing. This is the best time to buy those guys. You like my passion with art, huh? Something tells me you want Aaron Rodgers. I mean, well, my team in that league, unfortunately, I don't think is a contending team anymore. Harrison, not to break it to you, you know, all good things have to come to an end. Just like my art class, drawing that I was doing, and also just like my championship window in the home league, which unfortunately that one stings. That one stings the most. I can show off. I can show off something because we got some good stuff. I know this has been a little bit of a non-character or a little bit of a non-conventional stream. I do think I've gotten a couple good monologues in there, which is what the people want. But yeah, we're making it work. It's late June. It's late June. We're talking fantasy football. The NFL draft or NBA drafts is going on right now. Let's see what the NBA let's see what the NBA draft's looking like. Because we're probably pretty late in the NBA draft at this point, right? Devanza, right? We expected that. Caleb Wilson. I mean, that top 4 was pretty expected. I would have gone Peterson as well over Boozer. Acuff, I feel like Acuff fell a little far, but there's a lot of guards. I can say I'll pick guards. Any trades? Indiana? Oh wait, no, that was already existed. This trade was traded to Milwaukee. Hornets. Gonna have to read up on this guy. Because we the Hornets, we need some help. But Ford is I feel good about that. Oh, dang, I didn't realize we had this pick as well. Okay. We're still in the first round there. Well, there's the NBA analysis of the draft or the stream. Okay, let's get back to the cool stuff. So, as y'all saw, as y'all probably noticed, when you're on the homepage, you're logged into your Dynasty Daddy account. You got your trades. You can pull up your trades. You can see all my beautiful Aaron Rodgers trades I have sent out. You can also see all your leagues. You can see that, there's some work to be done. There's some work to be done on my profile. But we have a new news tab. And this tab will show a bunch of updates. I can post updates directly to the site now, which is nice. Show videos, all this stuff. But the big thing is we have this new League Legacy feature, which when you connect the league and you load it, the first time you load it, what it will do is it will connect and pull all of your old leagues and build a giant history book of all your leagues. And you can see here, this is my home league. This is like my OGs. Like we go way back. And we are on year, I think 7. I think it's year 7. Yeah, year 7 of the Dynasty League. And what it'll do is it'll compile a legacy score and rank all the teams based on records and playoff performances. So you can see the titles here. You can see the finals appearances, playoff wins, playoff appearances, points for, points against. And then down here, a bunch of cool insights like most playoff wins by franchise, longest win streaks, right? So like shouts to me, 10 game win streak. That was 3rd best in the league. We also have highest scoring games, pretty straightforward. Biggest legacy games. I think this is an interesting one where we use obviously the stakes of the game, right? Like obviously playoff games, championships, those are biggest legacy games. But we also look at factors like were you a underdog? Were you a 2 elite teams smashing, fighting, and which ones won? Or were you expected to win and win? Like if you were expected to win a championship and then you won, like for example, 2025, this team was expected to win and then they won. So this finals is rated second worst in terms of legacy, just because, well, I mean, you're expected to win. You're expected, like this one here, 2021, Bucks legend Tom Brady was expected to beat me. And that's just how it is. It's, it's like, okay, cool. Like you're expected to win, you win. Okay, we're not gonna blow up the legacy rankings, but the games where you're not expected to win get kind of ranked higher. So it's something I'm tinkering with some of the legacy scores. I think it's a cool I love the little like legacy stuff, all of that things. Yeah, like buying Aaron Rodgers for a third. That is true. Like got to keep the I mean, Aaron Rodgers probably gonna play, right? Like I think this is the cheapest you're gonna get Aaron Rodgers. Because I tell you, during the season, I sent thirds out for Aaron Rodgers, and it's like, maybe 2/3. And people are getting stingy. But we got biggest rivalries here. So it will count head-to-heads, most games. We have also a rivalry score for every single matchup. And then I added this one today, which is longest head-to-head win streaks, which I think is an interesting one. But this is current, like active win streaks you have against a certain manager. So like this one, I have a 7-game win streak against Bucks legend Tom Brady. We're 9-5 overall in 14 games. You can also look at all league play record, and this will do basically all league play in the current season, but across all years. So you have all league play across 6 seasons here, and kind of see which teams are consistently at the top of the list and which ones aren't. And the coolest part to me is seeing teams that kind of rise, right? Like this team, which won this year, shouts to Corner. You saw the first 3 years really rough, and then past 3 years kind of turned it on. You can see this team here, 5 years of being pretty bad, and then turned it on towards this. So you can kind of see like different rises and falls in teams. And then this is a head-to-head table where you can track all the matchups across all your league mates. Makes it really interesting. I think it's interesting to see just like some, like it's like this one. I mean, this is, shouts to my friend Daniel. I'm 9-1 against Daniel in 6 years, and the one loss was in the finals. Yeah, like that's just how it goes sometimes. But you know, it's always interesting. I love the little legacy storylines that you can paint out of it. And then also, if you go to the actual team page, which we've been working on, I have a new legacy tab, and this will pull up individual stats for your actual team. So this will track. These are my individual performance for every single year from the season. A bunch of metrics, worst season, best season, playoff appearances, basic stuff like that. Then down here, this is my favorite, to be honest, because I'm a little bit of a league historian here. You know, the big part of this site, big reason we're all here today, watching a fantasy football live stream at 10:42 p.m. on a Tuesday night, June 23rd, is because I used to write little newspapers for my home league, for this league. And this feature, I love the head-to-heads because that was always a hard, interesting stat. Like I was always like, I'm interested to know the head-to-heads, the storylines of every single matchup to make every single week interesting. If we click this, it opens it up and will give me a head-to-head breakdown for every single matchup. So it's me versus my friend Real Tristan. Number 1 legacy team versus number 2 legacy team, has basic information, right? The titles, playoff wins, top 6 finishes, all that stuff. But the cool part is it shows every single matchup we've played in history. And it also will say stakes, right? Like if it's a playoff, we met twice in the semifinals, we're 1-1 in the playoffs. You can track win streaks, last played, all of these things. This to me is so cool. Like I not to toot my own horn, but this to me is just so cool. To be able to go through a long-standing league and just look at, like for example, this team, Bucks legend Tom Brady, early menace in this league. Because like rookie season, our first rookie draft, all my friends, no one's really played Dynasty. We don't really know what we're doing. Bucks legend Tom Brady takes Justin Jefferson and Justin Herbert in a late first. Like 2 late first, takes both of those players, ends up with like this absolute wagon in the early 2020s, right? 2020, 2021, 2022, even 2023, they're kind of frisky. Absolute wagon. We saw we met in the finals twice and we split them. But it's just cool to like relive these moments, and you can kind of see he's going through a rebuild now, so I have a pretty massive win streak against him now. But these things are just really cool to me. Tracking the history, the matchups, and we also have legacy wins for individual teams. So if you're like, hey, that's cool, you have biggest legacy wins, but I'm not on there, you can go in and say, which are the wins for me are the biggest wins. And obviously, this league, I've won 1 championship. My 2022 championship against Bucks legend Tom Brady, that's the biggest one. Then a playoff win against my rival, that obviously is a huge one. This one here, 2020, and this is a lot of the importance, right? This is it will also factor in things like the fighting for a bye, playoff seeding, things like that. A week 3 win against a really good team, that's going to have a huge legacy impact for my actual team here. And then we also have legacy losses. So you can say, oh man, like me losing to the finals this year was in 2023 was the worst loss I had. Right? A 14-point loss in the finals, massive impact. And I had another finals loss and then some of the other of my playoff losses. And then see, this is how you know you got a good rivalry, is like all my legacy losses are just to my rival. It's just real Tristan 1 or 31. Everyone is a big loss here. And you can see even here, it's like the legacy wins. And I want to play with this a little bit. I don't know if I 100% like it, because I still am a strong believer that a playoff win means more than like me winning in the regular season. But I will tell you one thing, that there's some games circled, and I do circle real Tristan 31 in this league every year. It's a must win. But yeah, Legacy is a lot of fun. Definitely check it out, completely free. And you can log in, toggle all that stuff. Makes it a lot of fun to kind of digest, go through all your leagues, see what's going on there. And I think, let's see, we'll double check chat here. It's a little quiet on the streets right now. So maybe I'll double check the live stream ask as well. Make sure we're all looking good. I know there's a lot going on. So yeah, I appreciate everyone who has been here. Now do one other thing. I haven't announced it yet, but it is live. We do have significant improvements to our trade calculation, and you may have noticed it. When going on the Power Rankings page. There's a starter value. We can now toggle different starter values, whether it's projections, WAR, ADP, all the things we love. You may also notice it here on the simulation model. Ultimately, they're the same thing, right? Like starter value, this use like simulation model doesn't mean anything on the Power Rankings page. But if we click this, we'll notice all the values will change. And WAR, frankly, okay, no. Okay, that was just a weird artifact. Okay. But all of the values change on the season simulation. So it's different ways of simulating seasons. If we pull up, if we open and expand, we can now see a whole table of every week-to-week matchup. And we'll show the result if it happens. But it'll show every week-to-week matchup, your percent chance to win it, the projection, and the difference, and that's using the projections for your starting lineups across everyone. And now you might be like, oh, some of these are a little odd. That's bye weeks. All of that's factored in using the projections, right? And so that's an interesting part. Is like if you toggle this, you can see difference not only in ADP but in win percentages, all of that, and it factors all of it. At the bottom, it'll show you your opening round, semifinals, championship, all the things you want to see with fantasy football, all those metrics, which is super cool. Another fun thing we added is hype. You get some hype scores for all your matchups. It's a super fun way to check and see which matchups are your biggest matchups that you need to circle. And there's different, if you highlight over it, it'll tell you kind of why these ones are hyped. Or it'd be like, okay, elite matchup, winning records, playoff bubble, bye implications, and a toss-up. And a lot of these are, especially right now, based on projected outcomes, right? Like, for example, both these records are 0-0. Like, how do we know if it's a winning records? But we project both these teams to have winning records. We project this one to matter significantly for a lot of the outcomes later on in the season. And that's why a lot of these have pretty high scores. And then if you notice towards the bottom too, we also have late season gets an additional bump of some hype because like two playoff hopeful teams, like in this league, we already looked at it. My team kind of stinks. and that's why this matchup doesn't have a ton of hype. So it's a cool way of trying to circle and track which matchups are ones that you should pay attention to, right? Like if you're a bad team, well, you got to earn your games. You got to earn your primetime games when it comes to fantasy football. And you can also, if you toggle to the games, you can also see all the game cards also have what the hype matchup is. So it's another cool way of interacting with the Power Rankings or playoff calculator. And I plan on doing more as well, but there's some changes I was like, I need to get in here to be able to toggle certain things. We still have ELO as well. Currently, nothing's happened, so we can't really calculate ELO. But trying to improve, make this a better tool for the long run. But let's see. I'm getting a little tired, and I don't know if anyone has any extra questions. Maybe my art class put everyone to sleep. But let me just double check, make sure we hit all the live stream asks. And I know the past couple weeks have been a little bit non-conventional, not what you expect when it comes to your favorite live stream show. Trying to track you. Hold on, let's see. Trying to track you. That team I just showed you is 6% on ADP and 48% in projections, and is in the 20s in wars. Should I be scared? Which team? See, is it I'm trying to think which team is it? I wouldn't be super scared. War is a little bit experimental, to be honest, and I might make it more of a early access behind the like the club view, just to not scare a ton of people. Projections is based on projections, and this is kind of the thing with projections, to be honest, though. It's like, and I think a great example is like if you look at the start sit tool. I don't know if I have it showing up, but like let's talk about projections for a second. People love them, but projections, if we look at it, these are using our own accuracy scores, which retroactively what we do is we kind of like similar to like if you have like a stock trading algorithm or something, you'll train it on previous data and try to like backfill it and be like, okay, it's this accurate retroactively. I don't know why all those say 0, but what we see here is like even best week projections are like 52% accurate. Like it really kind of is a guess a lot when it comes to projections. So that's why like for a while my site's always used current season rankings, and we kind of just say, hey, we trust the value of the current season. Like that's kind of what we really trust. And now you'll see certain teams will jump up and down with the projections. And I think a big part of the change in the projections, like this team goes from down here, right, 54% to 74% with the projection base. And if we look at their team, it's going to probably come down to a lot of the stars aren't necessarily being as advertised, or there's certain players that are ranked lower in ADP that probably have high projections based on what we expect. I think a good example would be, I don't think he's technically starting on this team. Which team is it? Right, but a Malik Willis, and if you come into here, you can toggle between and see what changes, right? So like this one goes from Brian Thomas Jr. to Alec Pierce. That's the big change. Let's see. But if we look at the actual ADP for these players, let's see where it is at. Right, like Jahmyr Gibbs 2. The difference between Jahmyr Gibbs and Chase Brown is probably more in this model than it is with projections, even though Jahmyr Gibbs is valued way higher. But we'll see certain things like Bo Nix is probably a perfect example where Bo Nix's projections are going to be way higher than, or much closer to like Dak Prescott than how the ADP models him, because ADP models him at 9. Like the six positional gap between these two players is probably much less than the projections. And this is something I'm still like tweaking and working out. The old way of doing everything is the ADP model. If you don't want to overthink it, you can stick with that. But I am working out kinks for both projections and war. There's some differences. Like war essentially what it will do is it'll pick like the ADP that we saw, right? We'll have ADP and say, okay, how valuable is a QB9 historically in this league? And then using that's how it builds it out. So in like ADP just uses ADP, and then we plug it into our starter value, our starter rank calculation, and it builds your starter rank right here. The war adds in the extra layer of saying, okay, QB9 is historically worth this much in this league. Then we translate that value, and then we use that value, plug it into our starter rank formula. Projections is completely different. We do every single week. We calculate the projections of what this team is expected, and then we build. And that's why the starter rank is so high here, is because we then use that as like kind of like what the projected outcome of this team is. And that's why those can sometimes be a little bit different, is because they're calculated completely different than starter rank. And then we utilize, the projected points per game and things like that for the season simulations. But yeah, it's a good question. I'm still working out all the kinks. I think too, some of the big differences too, because it can be like toggling in between them before they load. That's something I need to work out, because I notice like if I'm here, I don't know, we're doing live debugging, but if I select a different model and then I load a different league, it doesn't reload the model, which is something I need to add. Right, like here it'll have this, but if I go back and then go here, okay, I guess it worked this time. I don't know, it doesn't work all the time. So I still got to work out a few kinks, but I wanted to get in two people's hands so they can give some feedback, and I can figure out, kind of what do the people want when it comes to improving different ways of running season simulations and power rankings and things like that. So I appreciate the question. I did not mean to scare you. It's just more fun models to run through. Hopefully not stressful. But yeah, let me see what else we have here. And make sure I did not miss any live stream ask. Again, I do appreciate everyone who has hung out with me tonight. It's been a different stream than usual. Can we use these tools to help us decide who to draft, when, and where for roster construction of startup and rookie drafts? What do you mean the projections, DS? Like if I am doing a live draft, have like the projections update as I'm making the picks? Because currently I don't have that. There's something I have been meaning to do, is kind of revisit a lot of the actual mock draft tool and trying to tie it a little bit closer with, especially Sleeper. A lot of the platforms don't really provide me a ton of information when it comes to fantasy drafts, but Sleeper does provide a decent amount. But I currently don't have any sort of season simulating move of like, okay, here are the picks on the board. Let's simulate all the seasons based on, replacement value and picks and whatever. This is probably the best pick based off of war or whatever. I don't currently do something like that. Could certainly be an interesting view of kind of like a draft assistant as you're going through the draft, to say, hey, making this pick gets you an extra 6% chance or something. I think too, like, not to be kind of like a fancy football nihilist or anything, but I think one single player outside of like me drafting Jahmyr Gibbs, but even like if I'm in the range of picking a Jahmyr Gibbs, like the tier breaks of like season simulations are not going to be significant. It really comes down to like, did I hit on the did I hit on a crazy season or something like that? Let's see what we got here. Let's see. Or maybe it can help calculate what a good price for auctions. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that's a decent idea. I used to have a auction estimator based on, and I still have the data, but I'll be honest, I have so many draft classes that it was slowing down my site. My SQL queries weren't frankly the best. So I kind of disabled it for a bit, but that is something on my list to kind of enable. You could track the percentage of people's budgets that were spent on every single player in the draft tool. It's something that was pretty cool, to be honest. But it was hidden. It's one of those hard things where this is like me being like a site maker, which is now there's many more. But it's always hard of like I want to have all the options that everyone wants, but I also don't want to have too many like bells and whistles. Like I always use the example of like the garage door opener, where 95% of people, 99% of people, when you open and close the garage, all you need is a button, right? Like my garage opener, you press it and you close it, but you can actually lift up the button, and underneath there's like 6 buttons, and those do a bunch of different things. I don't know what they do. I've never had to use them, but there is a bunch of other buttons and configurations and things like that. I think clean design is like that, where it's like it should be as easy as a button click. I don't want to have a bazillion buttons on my website because that's scary. So it's always hard to try to find ways to add in as much functionality as I can while not overwhelming people that are like, I don't know what all this stuff is. So ultimately, I did disable that because it was like, oh, click these 4 buttons to enable this mode, and like no one was able to do it, or no one really did it. So I was like, okay, I need to find a better way of showing this data and visualizing it through what I had. Let's see. One Jordy Boy said, I'm working on a sleeper draft tool that scans your league mates and builds a dossier of all of them. And then with the live draft board, it gives you a map of when and where to generally target guys. That's interesting. I have a hard, like, I think, to be honest, I think Big Diaz is a perfect example of someone that you could run an analysis of their portfolio and actually get a good idea of what they're going to draft. But I think a lot of fantasy football players, like even me, like I think I'm in like 9 leagues or something. If you scan my portfolio, you probably don't know enough about me to actually draw meaningful conclusions just based on the sample size. You know, like I can say maybe, like I think if we pull up, like let's pull up my portfolio real quick, because I do have some basic analysis of portfolio stuff, right? So like if we're in here, and it's like, okay, well maybe I'm a Ravens fan or an Eagles fan. Like I have the most Eagles and Ravens players. I don't like either of those teams. I'm a Panthers fan. There's no Panthers on here, right? Like you can't do the hometown bias. Like the issue is I'm only in, and but like this is a test league. These are all test leagues. So like in reality, I'm probably in like 8 meaningful leagues. So like it's hard to get a significant enough sample size. Like, and you might be like, okay, well, like this guy probably loves Michael Penix. And it's like, no, I don't. I don't like Michael Penix. I just had a lot of early 2nd round picks, and he slid to the 202, so I took him. Like it's hard to find enough data, and that's why like a Diaz who has a ton of leagues is someone that you could actually run analysis on and probably get a pretty good idea of what value he's actually, like what his strategy is. Let's see. So if I load up my league and we are starting or doing a rookie draft, can we get it to pull up league infused scoring? See, oh yeah, absolutely. This already exists. If you have your Dynasty Daddy club account, we go into here. Let's do mock draft. I have this mock draft. You go in here, you toggle this. This will update, and you'll see it will update your draft completely. You see Jadarian Price jump based on these league settings, and this does update based on the draft, right? Like if you're in a league and it has a live draft, it'll show live draft on the side, and it will track and poll and continue to update your draft board. It just doesn't run like season simulations on all the picks or something like that. But yeah, you can absolutely use league infused trade values to understand how your league format should translate to the draft board. And this is a big reason why I keep taking these tight ends. I mean, they keep going, like you see all these tight ends, mid thirds, really rising up a lot of these draft boards. And I mean, hey, you heard it here first. Justin Jolie wasn't even on KeepTradeCut when I was like, hey, this guy's going to be something. This guy is someone to watch. But yeah, that's something to keep track of. Let me see what. Let's see. Yeah, he said I need a draft assistant. My tool will likely not make a good website. Too much data getting pulled in the draft board, but it's a fun side project. Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. I do want to do like a draft assistant. Like I think ultimately in a perfect world, I am mostly done with fantasy football tools next year. That can be like, okay, like what's a cool draft assistant or something a little bit more off the walls. Because like this year has been a lot of like adding in right back, adding like improving my general flow. Like there's always a battle of like improving my site, making it as user friendly as possible, making sure all the data's there. This year has been a huge push on also like performance, right? Like a lot of my older stuff, we would load all this data in and we'd store it in your browser, and it would make my site sometimes inefficient. It'd take up a lot of memory, a lot of things that aren't great. Now my site is much more like lean, and I'm very proud of it. It's not something that like you probably really notice, but it makes it load a lot quicker. It will have it oftentimes only stores the data it needs. So a lot of things are improved with the general infrastructure of it as well. But I mean, this has been probably the busiest summer I've ever had working on Dynasty Daddy. Let's see. Big DS says, I guess because I am so portfolio based and market driven, I struggle choosing players over others. No player takes here. Lol. Do I subscribe to keep it simple stupid method? I do subscribe to keep it simple stupid. Okay. I was like, wait, do I subscribe? Okay. Let's see. Yeah, the dossier ends up being a mix of position preferences, and then if they overrate specific guys. But yeah, it's low confidence for most guys. See, I mean, this is the hard part. It's like I think that I do think it's a fun side project and certainly something that is worth investing. Like I've always thought about like adding in some sort of GM scout or something like that like lets you know what your other league mates want. But like the majority of the other league mates, it's kind of like we don't have enough data. Like we don't have enough data for them to like for me to know. Unless we can like tie their sleeper account with all their social media, with all like it's hard for me to like really know what their biases are unless you're like Big Diaz and you're playing in like 50 something leagues. And I probably can do some good data analysis to actually identify certain things. It definitely accurately identified that everyone in my league undervalued Stroud. Yeah, I mean, I could see that for sure. I mean, it could. I think it's a good tool, especially once you look at like the positional value. I think you could certainly draw like, oh, this guy likes to do 0 QB or something. Like you could certainly say, okay, I'm in a draft with guys that from 30 drafts across 12 managers. I know these guys tend to lean certain ways. But again, like it's hard to find that confidence. And it's always fun to play around with. Like I love playing around with the data, but it is something where it's like if I end up with something that's low confidence on my site, people will sometimes I have to label it very very much so a certain way. But yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think what else, if there's anything else. I'm excited about this. I know it's a small feature, but it's nice to be able to just like post videos and things like that directly on the site. Super excited about that. We also got new trivia games, all that stuff for the people that are into that. Big Brother is watching all my leagues. Yeah, I mean, we're in a new world, man. Where where software is a lot easier to write. And I'm curious, like, I think this is like getting to like, I guess, theory. I'm curious because like Sleeper is very open with their APIs. And I'm curious if companies and sites that are very open with their APIs are noticing significant upticks in traffic, because I think there's a lot more demand on free APIs that provide data across a lot of software, and I'm curious if Sleeper is going to change that. Which, I mean, I don't know if that's a conversation we should be having here, but that might put everyone to sleep. But that's always like something that keeps me awake. Is like, oh no, like did I hit a rate limit or something like that? But yeah, now, I appreciate all of y'all sticking through this one. I know this was a little bit rough around the edges, but I'm gonna be wrapping it up. Hopefully next week will be back, and I'll be again. Oh, okay. Big Diaz, I'll wrap it up on that, but I will be again showing or doing a normal stream where we bring in both me and Will. We have the band together. We're all enjoying some normal banter. But this is for Big Diaz. So I did add in, we have the new trade block functionality, which you can access at multiple places. But it's if you go to like a portfolio, you got a player. If you link your sleeper, you can go here and you'll notice there's a trade block. If you click it, you can do trade block, and this will send, like, if you go to sleeper and click trade block and post a player for on there, you can also say, hey, like, note, whatever, Jeremy wants all your 2027s, something like that. You can post it, post it into your chat underneath the trade block notification that hits chat. There's also the option for you to set a player nickname. So a lot of times people don't like to use the trade block functionality because like people just spam it. It's not as useful, but people like to use the trade block functionality. So you can be like, hey, any second you get Michael Penix, and boom, I'll update the nickname for the player, and that will update in your actual league chat, which I can. Let me see. I don't want to just blast it a million chats all over the place, but I do have an example, I think, in here. Right, so here's my home league that I was testing in. Oh my gosh, this is Sleeper UI is a mess. But here's like the trade block, right? So I put Tootin on the trade block. You get this trade block notification. You can click it. It does all the normal stuff. But then you can do a note. I just put test for this one, or a wink. And then here's a fun one, right? I did here's a nickname, right? You can update the nickname. So Brady Cook is test, Amon-Ra is a first plus, Kyler Murray is any first round pick. Updates it in your chat, and then also updates it in here as well, so you can have your whatever player it is updated in your league as well. So it's another great way to manage your league in a portfolio sense. I think a cool thing too is I've also been doing in the player pages, you now have, and let me try to get a player I have. Well, we'll do Penix. I have 1 million Penix shares. If you're logged in, you'll have this. This is not just Sleeper, but it will pull up all, like, this player's rostership across all your platforms. And then if you do roster him, it'll tell you like, oh, like a normal portfolio page where you're like, okay, like I have this player, but you can also do it here. You can drop them, you can trade them, you can open your platform here. Anything you can do on the portfolio page, you can also do on the player pages as well. So another way to improve the portfolio experience. Oh dang. Big Diaz, maybe you'll fill in. You're coming for Will's job. Yeah, no, I mean I do agree. I think the trade block feature is a amazing way to kind of not have to deal with a lot of the sleeper shenanigans. And I do wonder if like all the API pings that everyone is hitting Sleeper with is slowing it down. But yeah, I love the trade block functionality. When I was able to get the nicknames to come through and all that, I was like, oh, this is gonna be sick. And I did think about you. I was like, I know Big Diaz will be a fan. Let's see. I'll end on this question. We got Himi Nemesis. I don't know. I hope I nail it. I need to drop one. Rico Dowdle, Jonathan Brooks, Jaden Higgins, and Isaiah Likely. 8-team Superflex, no tight end premium. I'm dropping Isaiah Likely in an 8-team Superflex, no tight end premium. Running back is super valuable. I'm certainly keeping both of those. It's between Higgins or Isaiah Likely and a 8-team, no Superflex tight end premium. I bet there's a million tight ends that are probably pretty good. So I'll cut Isaiah Likely here. Give me the positions that matter, which are going to probably be only running back and wide receiver. Also, a big fan of the app. Had no idea you did streams. I'm happy to tune in next time. Thank you. Hey, this is a weird one. This is a weird stream. So we'll be back to our normal, more polished, more button-up stream. But anyway, I appreciate everyone sticking through this stream. I didn't expect to go 2 hours, but that is the passion that y'all bring in chat. I really do appreciate it. Stay tuned for all the updates on the site. Any features, changes, anything like that you want to see, let me know. I am always looking for ways to improve the site, continue to grow, continue to add things. It is basically my life at this point. So I appreciate all the support. And until next time, peace out.